Execution and campaigns. You are on the blue track. I'm James Soto, founder and CEO of Industrial. I'm super excited to have here Sam Caro, president, founder of Effective Marketing Communications. This is the programmatic paid social for B2B marketing session. This is absolutely going to be an area a lot of folks here are going to want to take a look at. We want to make sure we take the best use of your time and get into the content. Please, 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 if you have a question, do not wait to the end. Really ask it as things are unfolding. Sam, I'm super excited to hear your session, and I'd love for you, in your own words, to really talk a little bit about yourself, your background, and really just lead us right in to the topic today.
Sure. Yeah, thank you, James. So yeah, about myself, I've been in media for 25 years. First half-ish at Burnett and Starcom, so kind of world's largest buyer and client. Second half, small to mid-sized, and we're planning, buying, measuring, B2B, B2C, digital, traditional. Effective is in the name of our company, so we're very focused on effectiveness and accountability. And what we have for you today is kind of a how-to on programmatic paid social, as well as a case study of how it worked to promote this event. So we were in partnership with B2B, hired to develop the recruitment effort for today's and yesterday's conference. So it'd be good to see how many people saw the campaign and what you think of it. So I will share my screen.
And I think we've seen it. It's been great to see go like for a number of weeks here. And I think as we get in here, when we look at programmatic, there's so many avenues to look at that for B2B marketers. But as you kick off here, one of the things I think B2B marketers have the best opportunity to do is realize that, especially if they make things as a company, they're already experts and they're already suited to be the best B2B social marketers. So I look forward to it, Sam. So let's get going.
Awesome. So we'll do a very quick about us. We'll talk about how to use paid social for B2B, and then we'll share the Ignite plan. So just quickly about us, like I mentioned, 12 years of building media plans like business plans, really saying it's got to work or it won't be renewed or scaled. So marketing science with the precision of management consulting, hands-on keyboard, lots of client history, top talent on demand, lots of buying experience. We're very focused on starting with the end game and working backwards to reverse engineer plans using data, focusing on outcomes, and designing for experiences that both engage and convert. Our kind of true north is predictive ROI and getting to that place where we can help companies make the shift. The shift is from spending as little as possible and being completely unsure of the returns to investing as much as possible to that point of diminishing returns, knowing that there's going to be a range of positive outcomes. So let's get into how to use paid social for B2B. The first is just to prepare for success, right? We need a brief that helps us gather inputs, and that's about inventory of available data to have a very strong foundation from which to build upon. We want to narrowly define the target audience and understand who we're educating and motivating. And that has a lot to do with understanding their barriers to engagement and conversion. We want to understand, why are we spending money? What are we solving for? Is it upper funnel and filling it with more people? Is it mid or lower funnel where we need those people to convert? So at the end of that kind of briefing process, we want to have clear goals that aren't just like grow awareness. We want a metric that we can measure to be able to hold ourselves accountable to that change. So a sample brief for the B2B marketing program, the key challenge, educate US B2B marketing leaders about this conference and the benefits of a premium ticket. And that was challenging because it's one thing to say, I'm going to try to reach marketing leaders, CMOs, VPs of marketing, director of marketing, but with that B2B focus, made it a little bit harder. The insight we worked from was that the 20 campaign was a success, or the conference was a success, despite being virtual. There's been a lot of bad virtual conferences. This was a good one, and we wanted to leverage that. Key audience insights, there was a few. One is that we assume that these audience members do not know who B2B marketing is, big in UK, not big in US quite yet, and they probably don't know what Ignite is either. Because they're unaware, or even aware of any conferences happening in pandemic, we need to educate them, and also tell them why the premium ticket is important. What are the benefits versus the free ticket? The barriers is just the awareness problem, the skepticism of a quality virtual event, and just that schedule thing, how to prioritize and carve out time for development for both yourself and the team. So the ways to break those barriers: testimonials of past attendees, being clear about what the agenda includes, who's going to be there, and the key benefits. With those good inputs, we can create insights, right? So the insight is that B2B marketers, everyone here yesterday and today, are in a perpetual state of education and information gathering. It's a way to stay relevant and to stay dangerous in this business is to be always learning. So that was the insight. And in order to get them from not knowing who they are to registering, we needed to educate them on, again, who is this organization, what is this conference, and why is it worth their time? Then from that, we say, okay, now we have insights, let's turn it into strategies of education, engagement, and motivating. Those are the things that need to happen. It's a lot to try to do, but we need to get people through that funnel and registering for a paid ticket. A lot of things that we do with clients have to do with budget setting and goal setting. Most don't have either of those inputs, which makes it hard to start. If we don't know what we're spending or what the goal is, it's like, which is it? We need to start somewhere. What we do in that scenario is help clients define it and say, well, what if we drove a third to a half of the paid attendees? What does that mean in terms of numbers? And how would we get that done? We also work from the standpoint of spending as little as possible, but with statistical significance, right? So we want to look at using stats to say what's a budget range that creates a stable read on performance. We define a test sell as a combination of a platform, a target, and a creative version. And for each test sell in this scenario is about $2,000 in spend. And then we said that's what it would be. How many test sells can we afford, or do we want to try to measure? The game changer for paid social is third-party data. And, godsend for LiveRamp to come in post Cambridge Analytica and open up what we had prior, which is the ability to target people using third-party data and get at people based on title and job function and company name. On the B2C side, based on actual purchase behavior, not interest. And the point we make here is that these partners make all media B2B media. And it's eye-opening when you understand that you can have the precision of publisher media in mass media like Facebook and Instagram. So with these partners, you can specify a target audience, you can onboard that audience to a media platform, reach them and only them, and pay on a cost per use basis, either on a cost per thousand or a % of media spend. So we'll go deeper into these partners. For the B2B Ignite program, we use these three. LiveRamp is sort of that plumbing that enables all of this to happen. Bora is strong in intent-based data, so people that are seen as surging on topics at a higher rate than normal. So anyone surging on the interest topic of B2B marketing would be a flag for us to go and market to them. And then NetWise, one that you maybe aren't as familiar with, we'll go into that, but account-based marketing. that ability to target people based on industry, company size, job title, and location. So, looking at the 2020 attendee list, we knew that it was primarily marketing managers, heads of marketing. We wanted to recreate those audiences for this plan. And we found those audiences in these various data providers. We've provided audience description, estimated audience reach, and this was really the foundation of the B2B plan. And just to share a little more, Bombora, again, that intent-based data with activation across really anything programmatic or paid social. Intent-based topics relevant to B2B marketing are listed here: demand gen, demand planning, some of the other B2B conferences, and just relevant keywords that tell you that people that are searching and clicking on things like lead gen are people that we want to talk to. NetWise is, for years, the kind of wholesaler, farm to table data is the way Dwight and his team talk about it. But, recently in the past year, they've opened up to be direct and have a UI to enable agencies and brands to go in and build audience and export it and then use it for email, for onboarding, and for closed loop attribution, right? So if you've built a list and you use it in targeting, and then you see those leads come in and match back to the list that you started with, you know that they were potentially a part of this campaign. So I'll tell you a little bit about NetWise. This is their UI, and this first screen is a look at their total audience. So 12 million companies, 99 million people, and the ability to filter based on your specifications, right? So it could be, industry, title, job function. You can go off domain, you can go off company name, get into company size based on revenue bands and location, and then have these stats on the list that you built to see, okay, these are exactly what we want, or I want to go back and trim out the really small companies and start to build it. So this was the actual list that we used for the Ignite campaign: 2,000 companies, 5,000 contacts. It was marketing managers in these geographies and companies of this size. So essentially, Ignite owns these names. It's email, it's phone, it's LinkedIn profile, and lots of other fields of data that we share with them to market directly, as well as onboard and run in custom audience campaigns on Facebook. So this was sort of those metrics that were within that list that we built. You can kind of see titles, company size, revenue, a little more on the industry. And before you even download the file and essentially pay for the contacts, you can look at sample contacts and make sure that they're matching what you're hoping for. So we see, there's people in B2B companies, and we're saying, yes, this is the list we want, and then we can go and download it. So that closes the section on audience targeting. The next part we wanted to help is sort of a how-to on the best practices for paid social creative in B2B. The first thing that we notice in almost every instance is motion equals engagement. So, in the past, you had to make that choice. Do I want click-through rates on static display banners, or do I want engagement and lower click-throughs on animated or video? It's just not the way that it works in Facebook and Instagram. On those platforms, the things that move, whether it's simple animations or full video, create better engagement and better conversion. So you always want to look for how can I put motion into this ad, even if it's just a slideshow from stills, which we do a lot of, and not a full video. The other thing you can do with video creative, even if it's just a standard voiced over read, is put that audio in, because the automatic caption will give you that stream of text that would otherwise violate Facebook's rules on the percentage of text. So we recommend using a voiceover, even if it's not perfect audio, because most people aren't having automatic sound. It's click for sound, and that text helps. This next part about 2 parts attention, 2 parts interest, and 1 part action is something that I don't know where that's from, but I've always had that in my head as a rule of thumb. Each campaign is different, but obviously each campaign needs to be noticed and relevant and clear on what it's asking the reader to do. And we'll evaluate the Ignite ad on the next slide. And you can think about it. Is it attention getting? Is it relevant and interesting? And is it clear on the call to action? The last point is that lead gen forms are very much prevalent in LinkedIn. They're available on Facebook as well. There's, I think, even a way to do it on YouTube. Our point of view is that a lead gen form is great when there is an instant gratification available. So that download happens immediately, great. If it doesn't, probably better to get them to the website first and be able to retarget. Maybe they'll download there, but we've just seen better performance when the lead gen form is tied to a download. Another thing is no vanity URLs. Make sure you're using the standard, learn more. Anything else gets, very low performance. And it has to do with, users are afraid of virus or unclear about what you're doing. So anything that's a little bit fancy is going to get rejected. Lastly is just to A/B test everything. One thing we did early on was we saw that the paid ticket ads were underperforming. So we pivoted to a free ticket offer, and then B2B would follow up with those registrants and upsell to a paid ticket with email. So here's the Ignite creative. I hope you can hear it as well because the sound is amazing. All right, so in my opinion, the attention is there. Dubstep was a good call. There was other versions that are equally engaging in terms of the motion graphics. I think it's pretty much an A+ on the relevancy as well. It's basically telling you exactly what it is, and a very clear call to action as well. So not much to improve, and I think they did a good job with this video. I have to get out of here. Okay. So what did we do for Ignite to drive registrations to this conference? They needed guidance on budget and goal. And as we showed, we built that stats model of investment. We also built a forecast to say, can we drive the registrations that you're looking for? They had a modest budget. We drove massive outreach, and we'll share that in a slide or two. And the third, there was just kind of general direction on target audience, and we went deep into account-based marketing, intent-based marketing. We used performance-based paid social, and we had lots of A/B tests running on platform, target audience, creative version, and we're able to optimize on an ongoing basis. So we did really 3 things with the plan. The first is that we validated Facebook for B2B. In the past, B2B marketing disregarded Facebook as a consumer platform, and to them, LinkedIn equals business when it came to social. Now they're seeing the value of Facebook in reaching their target audience. A large contribution of the registrations, in fact, 19% of registrations came from the Facebook campaign. Almost 300 in total, which is about triple our goal. And as a result, Facebook is now a part of the Ignite program to promote in the UK. So this is just a little look at how we presented, the Facebook and Instagram opportunity. Because of that third-party data, it's completely focused on the target audience. We have a do B2B without B2B mantra, which means you can do B2B marketing without B2B publications. And it makes sense. The daily time spent on Facebook of, a half hour to an hour is, multiple over the monthly time spent on LinkedIn. And the same would be true of the B2B publications. And Facebook has this great ability to do everything that we needed: education, engagement, motivation. It can kind of run the full funnel. Reddit was a test as well. We wanted to ride the wave of all of the uptick in Reddit usage from all of the stock trading drama of this year. And Reddit has, expanded their platform capability in their ad product to basically look like Facebook. The targeting isn't quite as robust. You can't use third party here, but you can target based on subreddits or those kind of discussion threads that are relevant to B2B marketing. And there's one that's just straight up B2B marketing. So of course, we recommend that B2B marketing is there both organically and with paid support. So that event, outreach that was big with the small investment. So $9,000, 164,000 impressions, 46,000 complete video views, and then 13,000 clicks to the website that yielded 7,500 website visitors. And we actually know that it was much higher than the estimate that we have here when we got the actual. Just looking at the two platforms, the cost per engagement of Facebook. And again, we're calculating cost per engagement of cost divided by the combination of complete video views and clicks of 14 cents is remarkable. And that $1.13 cost per website visit, that's going to be 10x the efficiency of LinkedIn or a B2B publication. Reddit, we had lower goals for them, maybe $7 or $8 cost per visit. It was more like 10. So we were disappointed there. It was a small part of the total, but again, worth testing. We want to have a heavy dose of proven partners and proven approaches, but also, an eye towards experimental. And that was our experiment. And, it wasn't huge, but, we wanted to learn and grow from it. The third is that we built a US database for B2B marketing. So we added 5,000 contacts from NetWise as well as the registrants from this conference. So key takeaways, is to prepare for success. Definitely that sharp brief is going to ensure that you know exactly what you're trying to do, who you're talking to, what they need to hear, and what the KPIs are going to be. Facebook, B2B marketing all day. These data partners, LiveRamp, NetWise, Bombora, make all media B2B media. When it comes to creative, definitely recommend Motion and testing. And then that last piece is just to balance your mix of proven and experimental partners to maximize success. That's it.
Well, that seems like a lot of value for this event, and excellence is definitely in the execution there. Wow, thanks, Sam. I think that approach, your data-driven approach, was amazing. As I look at the kind of the chatter overall, I think thematically what comes across is that when it came to B2B, the marketing of where we're standing and sitting and virtually right now, your process is amazing in the sense that you start with getting, the organization ready to do this, right? That predictive ROI and budget, goal, and forecast. How much of the success really is dependent on defining what success looks like and how you're going to measure it? Like, is there an alternative? But that's an important step. And can you dig in on that a little bit more?
Right. I mean, it's hard, so I think a lot of times you just don't know. And you might just say, hey, this is a benchmark setting campaign. We don't have historical brand benchmarks. We're going to use industry or category benchmarks to say we think it can do this, we don't know, but it's okay to not know, but you at least want to have that conversation and try to get specific on what we're trying to solve for. That's the way that these campaigns can be renewed and scaled. I mean, partly it's like, think about an award submission. It's going to have success metrics. It's going to have testimonials. It's going to have something unique. And you got to have that stuff to be dangerous. So always start there and say, how are we going to prove this at the end of the day?
And how many B2B marketers here are really having to deal with that issue of, it's okay to say this is a benchmarking year, this is a baselining year, because we're really doing something new. And to the extent that you're looking at that perception at the end of it, right? Like, how did it do? If you don't know where you started, right? It's hard to really communicate where, even if you're just looking at the end result, where someone took you and how much actually progressed you, because sometimes it's not always the best result, but man, did you take them and get them off, the blocks.
Right.
And I think that's a big issue. I think one of the things that's probably going to be interesting to folks, and when we start to look at privacy and data, there's Hitwise and so many over the years. But as we look at our data sources, how integral have the data sources been in this process? Is there any other way to do it? And what type of advice would you give, because our B2B marketers are at different phases of their journey here. How would you really guide them as they really start to look at some of these data partners that you've been tying into?
I mean, it's huge. I think you have to keep rolling with the punches and finding ways to be targeted. I mean, the like direct mail mantra was list, offer, creative, and list is our thing. Without it, there's a lot of waste, I mean, that said, look at TikTok, there's really no targeting there. You can target on the price of the device, now zip code, which is nice, but none of the third-party stuff, none of the stuff that we would want to have, but the efficiency is so big that it doesn't matter, and I think there's also an opportunity to understand that, hey, this message is much broader now and less targeted. So can we help the audience define themselves by way of, where they go with the creative? If there's multiple, URLs to click through to, the one they click on tells you who they are.
And it's, I think, we look at B2B or technical buying audience, they qualify themselves. I think a good context of what you just said is, folks qualify themselves by the specificity of their search, by their actions. And to the extent that we see these signals, we can really start to kind of get to that intent and identifying who these folks are. Data driven is really so important. As we look at the programmatic insertion at that point, when you're really looking at really the delivery mechanism, there are so many options and platforms and ways that you can go about the activation side. Where would you advise folks in terms of your approach and how you actually get it through the pipes?
Yeah. I mean, for us, it's all about self-serve, right? So when we evaluated DSPs and partners, like, everybody has awesome tech, everybody has unlimited data sets. It came down to service, and the service was an issue, so we wanted to own that. And that's what we've done, and platforms have democratized media, enabled anybody with a limited budget to go in with no big spend and get real-time results and test and scale. So that's been a game changer for us. So as much as you can, you want to have control and direct line of sight to exactly what's happening.
And because it's happening so fast, you have to be able to know when to keep and to kill, because you can't, with limited budgets and really, you can eat it all up very quickly.
Sure.
And as you really go through this whole journey, and you've really looked at this event, give us some, feeling you've had overall, really starting off the blocks, getting that baseline. How do you really feel about the end result in terms of where you started and and actually where we are as of today?
Yeah. I mean, it's a journey, and it's a learning process. So I think the thing that we've started to do is say, hey, like, we don't want to overpromise. I mean, we have our own history, our case studies, our partners. We have a general sense of what's going to happen, but it's going to take time, and you're going to see a decrease in cost per lead in months 4, 5, and 6. And if you can't see this out for 6 to 9 months, like, maybe we're not the right partner. We're trying to get a little better at that. It's easy to take anything and say, oh, after a month it's failing and you're fired. Like, sure, maybe some are going to do that. But I think you just got to be ready for the fact that things are changing. And, change is actually job security for consultants like us, because we're going to help people manage big shifts. But, a lot of it is unpredictable. And I mean, our industry has more questions than answers. So, we're figuring it out together and giving people the best advice that we have. But it comes back to that thing of like proven partners that can prove results. Let's place most of our bets there, and then have a little bit of experimentation to not miss out on what's next.
Yeah, and I think James Dix asks a question. As you look at that, mindset that's B2B, but kind of not, do you have any particular tips coming from using Facebook for the B2C marketers? And I would say also, because in the context we're here for B2B, was there any sauce, like any kind of other insights in terms of, validating or just leveraging those channels,
Yeah.
given there's overlap,
I know where that's coming from, is this notion of, well, that's a consumer platform and I'm looking at my kid's photos, so why do I see this ad? But I think, most people are pretty used to seeing ads everywhere, and you don't need to conform to the, norms of the platform necessarily. I think that was really a long time ago, where you're not allowed to do an ad on Facebook. It has to be about friendship and value, creation and stuff. I think we don't see that. I mean, it is back to that attention and interest and action. But I wouldn't say like the LinkedIn ad can't run on Facebook. I think they can go straight away.
We're in a world where we have to find folks wherever, whenever, however they may be looking, and really just living their lives online. And that's I think that's what makes this career choice what we do as industrials or B2B marketers or B2C marketers. It's such a great job. We are coming up on our end of the journey here for today. But if there's just one tip you can give to a business that's really looking to leverage paid social, what's that one thing that they can do to really kind of start themselves in that journey, whether it's making the case or just getting started?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the brief. I think you want to really get tight there, and really define what you're trying to do, and what maybe from history, or from industry, that this is what we can expect, and get really crisp there. That becomes sort of the scorecard for the plan that you see. It becomes the template for the report that you're going to see. It just sets you up.
Yep. Well, I think we've all seen it. Everybody here is a byproduct in some way, I would imagine, of your effort. So I think I would hope you would oblige me in saying, hey, thank you, Sam, for the work you've done to really bring what is this community together. And I think I'm very clear, as long as you guys are focused here too, this community is going to nothing but grow. So on that note, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right. So on that note, we're going to wrap up this session. Everyone, just make sure to check out the expo. There's resources. Connect with Sam. Connect with folks you really think would be of value to you, or you can be of value to them. So on that note, have a great one. We'll see you next session.